building the model. For this workshop, we're going to be attempting to build this project by Andrea Olivia Architects. We felt it's a good project to start with for a beginner workshop. And after that, once we build that, we're going to start getting introduced to how to annotate and how to sort of compose the model, the drawings into a sheet, and learn some graphic techniques, very basic of them. And then session 3, if you feel like you've not caught up with session 2 while I'm working on it, so we've dedicated 45 to 50 minutes of the time in session 3 where you can actually work on the model a bit more and ask your questions. You can share your screen and we can have like an interactive session to clear all your doubts. So with that, let's get started. And the drive has the drive. I'll show you. I'm just going to show the contents of the drive. Inside the exercise files, we have CAD and Revit file. Revit file essentially has this the model. I've already modeled the project, so it's just for your reference. You can access the Revit file from that folder. And inside the CAD, this has the basic CAD drawing. We're going to be importing CAD into the software and start from the CAD drawings. So you have the ground floor plan, the first floor plan, and this very schematic section, and the workshop slides, just to sort of help you follow the presentation. So getting started, once you open Revit, the first thing that's going to pop up is this screen. This is the start screen of the Revit. It has very few options where you can open a file or open an existing file or create a new file. And also shows the recently worked documents and projects on its right. Clicking on open, when you click on open, you can access a specific Revit file that you've saved somewhere in your drive. But when you click on new, you're going to get something, you're going to get a pop-up saying choose a template. And for us, we're going to start choosing an architectural template. The template is basically already set by the Autodesk, and it favors architecturally working environment. And under that, create new, we're going to create a project and not a project template. So it's important you click on this, make sure it's project always. And once you hit OK, it's going to introduce you, take you to the first homepage of the project itself. Now, I'm going to be talking about the interface. I'm going to be talking about how the different elements of the interface and all that. So let me open the model that I've already built. It's going to be easy from that. So once you open the file, the first thing to know to sort of understand what the interface is, Autodesk is sort of clustered the many options and commands into different tabs and panels in Revit. So it works very clean once you understand where a building component is, where a command is inside the interface. We're going to be starting with the file option, which is on the top left of the page. Under that, you've got new, open, save, export, and import, and printing options. Now, above the file menu is what is called as the quick access toolbar. This essentially has all the condensed, all the icon versions of what is there inside a file menu. And it also has a couple of other icons that I'll be covering in the next part of the workshop. Now, exactly below the quick access toolbar is what we have, what we call as the tabs. So these tabs, saying architecture, structure, have inbuilt panels inside them. So this is essentially a panel. And inside the panel, all the commands like walls, doors are all clustered and under build in this case. This ribbon is sort of clustered under the build panel. And under circulation panel, we've got railing, ramp, and staircase. So it's all clustered within the tabs and the panel. Now, when I go ahead and click on the structure tab, a new ribbon opens. In this case, you have different panels calling structure, which has the beam, wall, column, and so on. And different panels has different options clustered within them. So it's very corresponding to what the panel says and what is there inside the command inside the panel says. So for this workshop, we're going to be mainly focusing on the architecture tab because that's where 90% of the things lie. And below the panel is what is called as the options bar. Right now it's empty. Mostly it's going to be empty until you click on a specific command. For example, I'm going ahead and clicking wall. Immediately when I click on wall, the options bar shows up, and you have this options bar specifically is sort of specifically designed for a command. So for wall, you're going to have these kind of options that's going to pop up. If I go back, hit escape, and click on door, the options bar is going to look different. So you should always keep an eye on what's there in the options bar, just to understand what the command does. And two other important aspects in the interface is the project browser, which is on my left, and the properties bar, which is on my right. So I sort of like to work with project browser on the left and properties on the right. You can also sort of click and drag and place it elsewhere, whichever works for you, whichever works well for you. Like you can also keep it as a floating tab and move it along your displays and so on. So by mistake, if I close the properties in the project browser, the interface is going to look really weird. Like you cannot go anywhere, so you don't have to freak out. Just right click on the interface and click on properties, and the property bar is going to pop up. I'm just going to quickly drag this and dock it on my right hand side of the project. Sorry, struggling with the two monitors. And if I go to view, under user interface, once you click on the drop down menu, you get the same option saying view cube, navigation bar. So this essentially has everything that's in the interface. So I'm going to check on the project browser to bring back my project browser and dock it on the left. That's how I like to work. And once you start working with Revit, you get comfortable and you have your own style of docking the tabs. And we have a couple of more icons on the bottom tray, which I'm going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. And that's it with the interface. So all you got to remember is the tabs and the commands inside the tabs, and project browser and property browser. And so yeah, that's the interface of Revit as much. Now, what you're going to be doing is having known where is what in the interface, we're going to start navigating in this project, in this specific project. Right now, what you see is a 3D view of the project. But how do you see the plan? How do you see the ground level plan? How do you see the elevation? How do you see the section? So to access every part of your project, all your eye has to be on the project browser. Treat of it like a table of contents where you have all the contents saying the project browser says floor plans, ceiling, 3D views, elevations, sections, legends, schedules, and sheets. So everything that what you technically want to see in the project is here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on the ground floor plan, and it's going to take me to the ground floor plan. That's how you get to the ground floor. There's no other way to get to the ground floor. Now I want to see the first floor plan. I'm going to do the same. It takes me to the first floor. And for example, I click on the elevation north, it takes me to the elevation north. And every time I keep clicking on it, if you see below the options bar, the new tab opens up. And that's how you keep a track of which view is what. And another important thing with this is that if I go back to my plan, I said I'm going to come back to these small icons, right? The first thing is how much detail do you want to see in the plan. For example, if I give a course, you're not going to see the detailed aspects of the wall. It's going to be more like a block that you see. Now, if I change it to medium and fine has very slight difference, you start seeing the details of the wall. So that's how you control what you want to see with the plan. The icon next to it is where you see the hidden frame, shaded view, and you have several options that you can play with to choose the kind of shading that you want to get with the plan. And these are some other components that, like turning on the shadows, for example, is this icon. And this one is called the crop region, where I can actually control how much to see. So I can sort of cut it out. And if I unclick this, it's going to not cut it. And if I choose to cut it, it's going to cut. So These are some small things that you can explore yourself. Basically, do with how you want to see the project. Now we've gone through that. Another important thing is the scale. That's what scale are you working in? What scale are you viewing the specific view in? That's here, right at the bottom. Once you click on that, you have several options, different scale ranges. Right now, we're looking at 1:100. And if I want to make it a bigger one, and then it's going to change from annotation to everything is going to change by default, because it's already preset in that 1:50 command. So if I want to make it 1:500, it's going to, the text and everything is going to change immediately to a 1:500 scale. Unlike CAD, in CAD, you actually have to get the annotations in that specific scale, but Revit does it for you by itself. So that's how you go ahead and change the scale of the project. So in case I change my scale to 1:200 here, but if I go to my first floor, it's not going to change in the first floor. It's still 1:100 in the first floor. So whatever you change here is very specific to this specific view that you're working in. You got to understand that. Now, having opened another cool feature with these tabs and tab is that. So once you click on the tabs and go to view, and you have this option on the right called Windows, where you have tile views. So when I hit on tile views, all the tabs sort of gets arranged into four windows like in Rhino. Now I'm going to right click and give on zoom to fit, which is going to fit my plan in that specific window. So another a cool feature is that whatever I change in my plan, so if I specifically select in my first floor plan this specific window, it's going to show me that elevation on the other dock. So whatever you change with in terms of a model, in terms of wall in one view, updates in all the other views. That's very important. For example, I'm going to take this wall and delete the wall. It automatically deletes in the elevation also, and even in the 3D view, the wall is deleted. So you have to understand that whatever you update in terms of a model gets updated everywhere. So it's like doing the job once, but Revit does it for you in all the other views. So that's a very cool feature. You don't have to spend time editing every view and every drawing here. And if I want to sort of go back to one specific view, I want to click on the ground floor plan and then click on the tab views. It's going to take me to that specific view again. And so we've gone through what property browser does and how to use the tabs and all that. Now, what we have is the project browser does, and we have a property bar on the right. So whatever you click in Revit, like whatever you click has its own properties. And if I click on the wall, the property panel is going to show the properties of that specific wall. If I click on the step, it's going to show the properties of that specific step. This applies to every component. Even if I click on the grid, it's going to show the properties of that specific grid. So if I want to go ahead, change something in this wall, say if I want to make this wall thicker or thinner, I'm going to click on the wall and then see my property panel. It says basic wall 100. So that's the name of this specific wall. And it also gives other details like base constraint. Where does the wall start from? It starts from ground floor, and the top constraint goes to the first floor. That's what it says. And if I click edit, if I choose to edit, and you get a whole lot of panels, which will go in depth when you start building models. But that's how property panel works. Everything you select in Revit, even in 3D or 2D, no matter what, has a property of its own. And that's, if you want to edit something, you have to go to the properties panel. Just keep that in mind. Now we've sort of understood the interface. Now we know how to go to different plans, different views using the project browser, and how property panels work. That's all with the navigating with the model. Now we're going to start preparing a file. Before you start building, what do you do to prepare a file? So I'm going to quickly close all the tabs in the file. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. I've chosen architecture template. Under create project, I'm creating a new project, not a project template. It's very important. Now, that's the first thing that you see in an empty file, right? My project browser on the left, properties on the right. So the 4 dots you see is the 4 elevations of the project that you're going to build. And by default, there's a default section line, which you don't have to worry about it right now. Now, before I do anything in the project, the first thing that I always do is hit the command UN. It should take you to the project units. I've set my units to be under length. I'm going to set it to millimeters. I'm happy with 1 decimal or 2 decimals. I'm happy with 2 decimals. And under area, I prefer it to be in square meters. And you have other options like volumes, angles, and so on. You can choose to decimal degrees is fine for me, and you can explore all this and sort of set the units you prefer in a model. I set my units. Now, another important thing, the way Revit works is it works with levels. So first, once you set up the units, I go to my elevation immediately. Under elevation in the project browser, I'm going to go to north elevation. And once you go to north elevation, you would see 2 datum lines. One says 0.00 ground floor, and another says 4,000 level 1. So that's kind of the levels that's predefined in the file. Now I want to create another levels because my project is going to have like say 2 or 3 or more than 1 levels. And I want my level to be spaced 3,000 and not 4,000. So what I do is I click on this datum line, click on 4,000. I'm going to go ahead, type 3,000. That's created a level 1. I'm going to call this say first floor. It's going to ask you, would you like to rename corresponding views? I'm going to say yes, which means immediately in the project browser, what was level 1 before is now first floor. Now, as I said, I want to create another level. How do I do it? Go to the architecture tabs, and under datum, you would see an option called levels. I'm going to go ahead, click on that, and then click anywhere on the screen, left click, and then I'm just moving my mouse, and I want to place it exactly here. So that's created a new level for me, but it's not at the height that I want. I wanted that to be say 6,000. So I'm going to edit that number to 6,000. It's created a level 2 for me at a height of 6,000. Now immediately, if you see the project browser, you now have a level called level 2, which is already created. So if I want to go ahead, see what is there in level 2, I'm going to select that from project browser. But I want this level 2 to be second floor. Would you like to rename corresponding views? Yes. And then if you go ahead and see a project browser, you'd see level 2 second floor, level 2 change to second floor now. Now I'm going to go back to architecture. Under datum, I'm clicking the levels again. And under the draw panel, there was this line, and there's also another line called pick lines. Now, this is another way to, create a level. So I'm going to go ahead, click lines, and if you observe my options panel, there's a level, there's a thing called offset. So here I'm going to give 3,000, and when I take my mouse to the level, it automatically offsets it 3,000. It picks that line and offsets it for the value that you've given there. And when I click on that, I get my another level. That's another way to create a level, basically. So you can either draw with a line, or you can pick lines, which is the green line with the arrow mark. That's the symbol for pick lines. You can choose that and create a level of the offset you want. Give the value of the offset. Say I want a 6,000 offset. It creates another level. So that's how you create levels in Revit. Now we've set the units. We've created levels. All we need to do is go to that specific level and build the model. Now that's all is remaining. Now I'm going to go to my ground floor. I'm going to go to my ground floor, and now I'm going to start building a wall now. So we're going to get into how to build a wall. Now, under architecture, I'm going to choose the command wall. The shortcut for wall is WA. let me quickly tell you this. There's no predefined shortcuts in Revit. That's a very cool feature. If you go to the View tab under User Interface, what you have a thing called keyboard shortcuts. So Revit allows you to choose your own shortcuts. It doesn't have like a predetermined. It does have predetermined, but you can always go and change to whatever you want. So when I keep shooting out commands, you don't have to freak out. You can always go to View tabs, go to User Interface, keyboard shortcuts, and you can sort of search what wall is. Sorry, keyboard shortcuts. You can search. You can just type wall, and it's going to show you wall shortcut is WA. So, and if you want to change it, you can go ahead, press a new key, and assign the value to it. I like to keep it as WA itself. So uh, that's a handy thing to know. Now, once I click on the wall command or type WA, my ribbon is going to completely change to building a wall. And under the draw panel, we have several options that you can see here. So it's called line. You can draw a rectangular wall. You can draw a polygonal wall. You can draw a circular wall, and so on. We're going to start with a simple straight line wall. Now I've clicked on line, and immediately you can see the plus sign on the interface. I'm going to go ahead and make my first click. I'm going to drag. Once you drag, two things to notice is you always get the live dimensions of the wall, and you also have this blue reference line, which is right now in the center of the wall. So that's something that you have to notice. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on, say, you can either choose to click the second point or you can give a value. So I prefer to give a value of 5,000, and then it builds a wall that is 5 meters in length. And now, right now, we're looking at it in the ground floor plan view. But what you can also choose to do is see the wall in the 3D. So what I'm going to do is, if you go to the quick access bar, like I said, there are other small functions also. One of that is default 3D view. So if I click on that default 3D view, it's going to show the 3D view of the project. So that's the wall that we've drawn for like 5 meters in length, and that's the 3D view of the project. I forgot to mention one thing. Pan in Revit is holding your middle mouse button and dragging it, and Orbit would be holding the shift and the middle mouse button and dragging your mouse. So that's Orbit and Pan in Revit. I forgot to mention that before. So we've built a first model, a first wall of the workshop, and that is a 5 meter wall workshop, a 5 meter wall. Now, as I said, immediately when I click on the wall, the property panel shows the properties of this specific wall. And right now, my view is at a coarse detail, so coarse. So you actually cannot see any detail of the wall. Now, immediately when I change to fine, you're going to start seeing the details of the wall. It's more like a cavity wall. It's a gap in between. And to learn more about the wall and edit the wall, go to your property panels. We're going to quickly look at all these options here. We can ignore wall center line. That's the line I said. When you hit on the wall command, the blue line that comes up is called as the wall center line. So the location line says wall center line. So that means the blue line is in the center of the wall now. And next to that, you have base constraint. So base constraint is where the wall is starting from. It's starting at the ground floor, which is where we started building the wall. And the base offset is how much you want to offset the wall from that specific level. I do not want to offset my wall, so I prefer to be 0. Top constraint is how high do you want the wall to be. So we've created several levels, right? So I would say I want this wall to go until 2nd floor. All right. Now, if you go to your 3D view, the wall is now gone up to 2nd floor. To understand this better, let's go to an elevation, and that's the wall and the elevation. It's going to 2nd floor. Now, if I change my top constraint to 1st floor, it's going to go to the 1st floor. And this does not, if you want the wall to be somewhere like say 2,000 or 1,000, 1 meter high wall, I'm going to choose this to be unconnected and give a factor here saying make it 1 meter. I don't want it to go until 1st floor, and it automatically change the wall height to 1 meter. So that's how you control the heights of the wall that you're building. Now I'm going to go ahead, choose wall to second floor. And if you want to give a top offset, say I want this wall to go until second floor, but maybe 600 mm short of it. So I'm going to give minus 600, and it's going to build the wall 600 mm short of the second floor. And the rest can be left as default. You don't have to play with it at all. So we've gone through some of these commands, and now I'm starting to control the heights of the wall. I can control the length of the wall by going to the plan and sort of dragging it or giving a value. But how do I control what goes into the wall, right? Like I want this wall to be, I don't want it to be 700, maybe say a 300 mm wall with plaster finish and no sort of add and no cavity in between. So for that, we're going to go into edit type. Now, once you go to edit type, this is what you're going to see. And inside this panel, you have a couple of options going on inside. The first thing that you have to do when you edit anything in Revit is duplicate it. That's the most important thing. One second. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, duplicate the project, duplicate the specific wall. So I'm going to call this wall wall 300 because I want to create a 300 mm wall. The name can be anything. The more organized you keep, the less chaotic it becomes when a project is huge. So I'm going to call it wall 300. So now we're creating a new wall which is called wall 300. And inside the structure, you have an option called edit. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that specific option, and it's going to open an edit assembly. I do not get it's not complicated. It might look complicated, but it's not complicated, so do not get confused. To make this simpler, I'm going to click on this preview option, which is going to show how the wall that we're going to build would look like in the plan view. All right. If you want to see it in section, you can also choose to see it in section, but I would prefer plan, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it, see it in the plan view. So in this specific panel, we have this thing called exterior side and interior side. So it's sort of self-explanatory. This is the interior side of the wall, and that's going to be the exterior side of the wall. So whatever I build on this side would come out the exterior side, and whatever I build on this side is going to be the interior side. So the main thing to notice here is it says code boundary, which is essentially this part of the wall. I'm going to start by deleting everything first. I don't want to see so many things. So I'm going to click on this finish. I'm going to delete the finish. I'm going to click on the thermal layer, and I'm going to delete the thermal layer. So all I have is a solid 110 thick wall. But I don't want it to be 100 thick, so I'm going to make it 300. Immediately, you will see that the wall is now 300 mm. Now I want to give a finish on the exterior side and the interior side, say 10 mm paint finish. So I'm going to go ahead and click on insert here, and it's going to insert a layer above the masonry, above the structure. But I don't want this to be a structure. I'm going to go ahead and change it to finish. This is just to understand. And I'm going to make this layer go up above the core boundary. And the thickness of this is going to be 10 mm. And immediately you would see that 10 mm finish updated on the above the core boundary. And that's the exterior side, right? But I also want something interior, and I want to say another 10 mm for plaster finish or paint finish. I'm going to go click insert again. It's going to insert a new empty layer, but I'm going to now move this down below this core boundary, and I'm going to give a thickness of 10 mm. And you will see that another 10 mm is created. So that's how you actually create your own wall that you want. Now, we can start to make this, when we build a model, the actual villa, we're going to start creating 3 different types of walls. And that's going to have like a exterior cladding finish. And another one is going to be solid with 2 plaster finishes. So this is how we're going to do it again. We're going to go through it again. But let's complicate this a little bit more. This is too straightforward. I'm going to take out the exterior finish. I actually want to say a gap of 50 mm for the claddings to go on. And I'm going to create another layer where this is going to be the wooden cladding, right? So I'm going to create another finish layer here. And this is going to be, say, another 50 mm thick. All right. Now we've created different layers. Now we've got the wall, we've got the gap, we've got the cladding material. Now let's go define this with material. It's going to make it more detailed in plan, right? So for that, I'm going to, under material category, I'm going to click on this this box, and you get the small icon that comes up, and I'm going to click on that again. Now this is going to open the material browser. To understand this very simply, this is where you control what you see it in the what you see in the on the wall when you see it in the plan, and what you see when you see it in the 3D. So the graphics panel here, graphics tab, controls elements like surface pattern, like what pattern do you want to see it on its surface, and cut pattern. So if I'm going to cut it in the plan, what sort of hatch do you want to give, basically? So I'm going to go to my cut pattern here and choose to give the brickwork hatch. So that's pretty straightforward. And I'm going to click OK at the moment. But before that, in this specific tab, you have material, project materials, and under that you have this sphere plus icon. I'm going to go ahead and create a new material. This is very important. I'm going to create a new material here, and then I'm going to rename it as wall 300. And inside this wall 300, I'm going to give cut pattern to be brickwork. And I'm going to go ahead, click OK. And now you will see the material called wall 300 applied to this specific finish the brick cladding that we're looking at. And under masonry, if you see the existing default set masonry material, the surface pattern is chosen to be some kind of a brick hatch, and the cut pattern is given to be brickwork again. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK, and say OK. Now we've created a new wall that is 300 mm thick with a plaster finish on its exterior side, with a cladding gap of 50 mm and another brick cladding on its outer side. So that's how you create a wall, any wall you want on your own. So suppose if you want to change, if you don't like the aspect of this wall, you can click on the wall again, go to edit type, and redo the same process again inside the edit type. So that's important. Okay, I just found out that I have a bug in my Revit where the option sort of disappears. So I'm going to quickly close this and open Revit again. Sorry about that. I tried fixing it, but I could not fix since yesterday. I'm going to go create a new file, architecture. Okay. I'm going back to my wall command. We technically lost what we've built now, but that's fine. All we have is the wall again, and let's create a view again quickly. Another shortcut that I want to sort of throw now is the shortcut called create similar. Suppose I want to create another view level, right? I'm too lazy to go to architecture, click on the level, and draw another level. So instead, what I would do is just click on this level and hit CS, which means create similar. It would automatically open that specific level command panel. And I'm going to go choose pick lines, give an offset of 4000, and create another level. Now I'm going to go to my 3D. We have the wall that we've been trying to build now. Now we've learned how to build a wall, control its length, control its height, and how to go into an edit type property and then build our own wall. Now the next thing that we're going to be doing is adding doors and windows to this wall, right? So I'm going to go to my ground floor plan, click on my wall, hit CS, create similar, which will take me to my wall command. I'm going to quickly draw a small box like this. Now, I want this to be in a specific dimension, right? So Revit allows you to model in this way, where when you click on a wall, it would automatically give you the referencing dimensions by itself. So maybe once I click on this and give a value of, say, 6,000, it's going to change that dimension to 6,000. Now, now I have this extra chunk that's jutting out of this wall. I want to get rid of that. So that's where the remaining commands in the modify panel ribbon comes in handy. So we have this command called trim. The shortcut is TR. So once you hit TR and choose this wall and this wall, it's going to get rid of the extra bit. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hit TR, then click on this part of the wall that I want to retain and the other part of the wall that I want to retain, and it's going to eliminate the part of the wall that we do not want. So that's how you once again, someone waiting in the room. Yeah, that's how you use the trim command. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the wall again. So you have other options like align, offset, mirror, mirror by drawing an axis, split the element. So we have a lot of things going on here. Let's start with the offset. When I click on offset, you see the options bar gives me this value, gives me this option to sort of choose an offset value. I'm going to choose, say, 600, and I'm going to go how my mouse near the wall, and it's automatically going to offset the wall to a distance of 600 from me. So that's the offset distance, and not from, it's going to offset from this specific line to the other to the exterior of the wall. So you have offset, and you can choose to copy. The shortcut is C. You can choose a wall, and then you can choose to copy. So if you observe, I clicked on copy, and when I just made one copy. So if I want to make multiple copies, you should look at the options bar and then hit on multiple, and then you can make multiple copies of the wall. So this is very common for doors, windows. It's going to be the same for doors, windows, and any other modeling elements that you see. So this panel is going to be very similar, and the functions are also going to be very similar. So, and let's go look at align. Align is if I want to align this wall to this specific line, what I do is the shortcut is AL. I'm going to go click on the side that I want to align the wall to, which would be this, and the wall that I want to align, which would be this. So it would sort of align it to that specific line. That's a line command. These are something that you can practice on your own. We can keep exploring, and it's pretty straightforward. Let's do a mirror by axis. The difference between mirror by picking an axis and mirror by drawing a line is slightly different. So if I choose to draw a line and mirror that walls to that line, is when you choose mirror by drawing a line. Mirror by axis is I want to exactly mirror to this specific line. So if I pick on that line, it's going to, sorry. If I pick on that line, it's going to, I want to mirror this wall with keeping this as a center. So I'm going to go ahead, click on the wall, click on the mirror by axis, and it's going to exactly give us equidistant mirror of that specific line, keeping it as a reference, right? So that's mirror command. And if you can also choose to rotate, where the rotate shortcut is RO, or you can click on it and it's going to give you a base point, and then you can start rotating your wall accordingly. I'll leave that to explore. I'll leave all these tools to explore. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you can also try and sort of shoot out those questions in the Q&A session. Now I'm going to change this to 6,000. Sorry, 6,000. If you go to your 3D view, you've actually got a box now. You've got a wall and kind of a house, and I want to start adding windows to this, right? So I'm going to go to my architecture tab, click window. And then you see some options in the options bar. But if you actually take your mouse and get it close to a wall, you can actually start to see the window. So I'm going to go ahead, click on left click, and once you left click, you start placing windows wherever you want. Now, again, as I mentioned, if I want to edit the property of the window, I click on the window and look at my properties tab. And under edit, if I want to change the value of the window, I'm going to go to edit, and it's going to show me the type properties of that specific window. And the name of the window right now is 915 cross 8130, but I would prefer it to call it a 3000 window. I want the width to be 3000 and the height to be 3000, so I'm going to name it as 3000W. And under dimensions, you can actually start controlling the height, the width of that specific window, right? So I'm going to give the value of 3000 here, and then I'm going to leave the default sill height as it is, and the width to be, I want it to be 3000 again. And immediately the window changes. And let's go to 3D and have a look at that window. That's the 3000 by 3000 window that we've tried to create. So once I click on this window again, it has an option called sill height. So that's basically the height from the bottom of the wall to the bottom of the window. I would want it to be, say, 300. It's automatically going to lift my window to be 300. So that's how you create a window. Now, what if I want to create a window that's not like exactly fixed? I want it to be a sliding window or a pivot window, so on. So once you go to architecture tab, hit on windows, you have this option called, under mode panel, you have this option called load family, right? So you click on the load family, and it's going to take you to the place where Revit stores all its families or components, let's say. And under this goes into, once you install Revit, this is set as a default location, so you don't have to worry. I'm going to go to Windows, and you have like a million option of windows that you can choose from. So many options. So say I'm going to choose a sliding window, right? And hit open. It's saying that there are so many types of windows, different heights. Do you want to sort of open everything? I'm going to say yes. And immediately in the properties panel, you would see that specific window that's loaded for us. So that's how you load a window. That's how you load like a family into a project. So in this case, we've loaded a family called sliding 2L into the project, which was not there before. I'm going to go to my level 1. I'm going to go to window again. And now in the properties, if I click on this panel, we're using this, we created this 300W, which is a fixed window, but the one we've loaded now is also showing up in the properties panel. So I'm going to go ahead, click on that, and then click on the wall again. So, and let's go to 3D. I always try to sort of juggle between plan and 3D, so you understand what's happening at the model. So get used to that. And if you see, that's the sliding 2L window that's been loaded. You can also edit the window from not necessarily you have to edit only from the plan. You can also go to your 3D view and click on the window, go to edit, duplicate this. I'm going to call it SL some weird number, 4000, say. Once I change, the dimension does not change because the dimensions has to be controlled here. So sometimes I make this mistake of just renaming it as 4000 and assuming that it's already changed. So make sure you go to the dimensions value and then hit the width as 4000, and the height maybe, say, I want it to be 1000, maybe a long rectangular window. The window automatically changes. And if you go to your plan, it's going to show up similarly in the plan as well. Now, we've done some damage to this model, right? We've done a wall, we've created a wall, we tried creating a wall, specific wall type that we want to create. We've now added windows. Now I want to go to my elevations and see how it looks. That's the east elevation, that's how it looks in the east, north, south. There's no window on the south, and we have some windows on the west also. Now let's do this thing that we learned before of looking at everything in different tabs, right? Let's style up windows. Let's style up these tabs and try to make some changes in the model. I'm going to say tile views. Okay, there are too many now. I'm going to close, say, I'm going to close the south. I'm going to close the east. I'm going to close level 1. Okay, this is good enough. Now I have west elevation opened up. I have north elevation open. Oh wait, let me open. Yeah, north elevation opened up, and I have my plan. Now I don't want this window to be here. To be honest, I want the window to be sort of here. So I'm just dragging the window and changing the position, and you would automatically see in my level 1 that the window is already changed. The position of the window is changed. Let me change something in the ground floor. So once I select the window in the plan selected is this, right? Now I want to change the position. Say if we change it here, it automatically updates. So just try to recap what we learned before. So that's how you can make changes to your model and understand how it changes in different views of the model. Now let's go ahead and create a door. Now for doors, I go to my architecture tab again, then hit doors. It works very similar to Windows. Once you click on door, the property panel shows that you've opened a M single flush, which is 800 by 2134. And if you go near a wall, it's automatically going to make you place the wall. And maybe let's create a door here. And the way I flip that is hitting the space bar. Hit the space bar, the orientation changes. So that's a handy tool that you can remember. I'm going to place this door, say here. Now I want to place this door exactly, say 300 mm from the wall. So you can use these handy reference dimensions. That's always going to help you in Revit and make it exactly to 300. And I don't want this door. I want to change the height of the door, right? So what do? We go to the property panel, and we see that it's on the right level. It's in the ground floor. The sill height is 0, which is perfect. We don't want sill height on the door. I'm going to go edit this. The same thing happens again. The type properties of that specific door opens up. And the next thing that we do, like we did for wall and window, is duplicate it. And I'm going to call it door 600. I want the width to be 600. I'm very bad at naming it, so do not follow my naming pattern. It's the most inefficient way to name. I would say you come up with better. I'm pretty sure you come up with a better one. So I want the width. So I'm going to leave everything the same because this, as it is, works fine with it. Thickness is fine. The height is maybe say 2400, and my width is to be 600. Once I do that and hit OK, we've created a new door which is called door 600, and the width of it is 600 right now. Let's go ahead and see in 3D. That's our door created. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create another door, right? But I don't want to do it in the plan. I want to do it in 3D straight away. That's also a way to do it. So the way you do it is click on the door, hit the magic command, create similar CS, and you can start seeing that door pop up. And if you actually see, it would automatically sort of snap it to the grid. So right now, it's snapping it to the level 1 grid here. And when I go down, it's snapping it to the ground floor grid datum line. So you can also sort of model it in 3D, but I wouldn't recommend it. But Revit allows you to do it. So if you're confident that that's where the door is going to go, you can go ahead do it on 3D, and you can also sort of control the width. Say again 300. It takes you. It makes the wall. You can build a wall 300 mm from that specific wall. So we've created wall, we've edited wall, we've created windows, we've edited windows, we've created doors, we've edited doors. Now let's go ahead and create a floor slab. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to go to my ground floor, go back to my architecture tab, and go to the floor option, right? Now when I click on floor command, a very similar very similar ribbon opens to same as the wall, right? We saw the same thing in the wall. So I'm going to go ahead, click on this rectangle, and then select this edge of the wall and drag it here. Now the pink line you see is essentially the boundary of the floor that we're creating. So once you remember, this always has to be a closed line. So if you create a line like this and try to hit OK, it's going to say that lines cannot intersect each other, which means you have to fix this. It cannot have, it should always be a closed loop when you draw a flow slab. So I'm going to go ahead, go to my trim option or TR, click on this line, and click on this line which I want to retain, and that's going to trim the remaining bit, and click on OK. And now we've created a flow. Let's go look at it in 3D. There it is. That's the flow that we've created. Now, once I click on it and see my property panel again, the same thing. It says floor 150 mm, but I would want this to be, say, 300 mm. So what do? I go back to my property bar, click on my edit type, go to duplicate, and I would call it floor 300. And inside that, we've got a similar option like we saw it in creating a wall. So I'm going to go inside structure, and a very similar panel opens up, but this time it's the floor slab, right? This is like the section cut floor slab. So I'm going to change my thickness to 300 and hit on OK. And now the thickness of the floor has become 300, and that's also updated in the model. And now that's the ground floor that we've created. I'm going to go ahead to level 1 and do the same process again. I'm going to go to my first floor. I want to click on floor, go to my rectangular option, or this time let's pick lines. So let's use this. Once I click on that option, move my mouse to the wall, it's automatically going to detect that line, detect the edge of the wall. So you see there's a pink line that's created. So now what happens if I create this boundary and say I create another line here? Let's see what happens. And I click and finish. Everything is inside a closed. This is a closed loop line. This is a closed loop line inside a closed loop line. So it's fine. But if this line is going to be like this, it's going to say, no, you can't have overlapping lines. So it has to be clean. So that's an error that you would come across. So if you intersect or overlap your lines, I'm going to click OK. Now, what you see is a wall, but at the hole. That's because whatever you draw inside a closed loop becomes a hole in Revit. It doesn't matter to. It doesn't matter. It is not limited to like just floors. Even if a wall, if you're going to draw another closed line inside a rectangular line, it's going to make a void. Let's see how this is going to look. Yep, that's the damage that's been done. That's because we got a void in the floor because of this specific line that we built. So you can also edit the floor in the 3D view. So the way you do it is click on that floor and go to edit boundary, right? Or double click on that floor. It's going to open that the drawing mode of the specific floor. So I'm going to go ahead, click on this line. I'm going to delete the line. Click OK again, and we've got a clean floor now. So that's how we create voids, right? For example, I'm going to click on this wall, and you have this option called Edit Profile, which would also open if you double click the wall. And that essentially shows the boundary of the wall. Let's go to the elevation to understand it better. Yeah, so that's the boundary of the wall that's open. Now I want to create a hole in the wall, right? So what I'm going to do is draw another closed loop line. Like let's draw this random crazy line. Now we have a closed loop line and we also have another line. So this essentially becomes a hole. Let's go to the 3D again, and you would see that specific hole in the wall. So that's how you create wall openings, or if you want to create holes and whatnot, right? This works the same in the floor and in the wall. That's something that's important to understand. Now, the last thing, let's just cap this with the roof, and we can go ahead to the next part of the session. Now, to build the roof, we can build a flat roof, or we can also build a hip roof. Doesn't matter. To create a flat roof, I just go to this specific level, right, which is level 2, and then I create. Let's call this roof to understand it better. And go to my roof level. You can also go to the level by double clicking on this datum line. You actually don't see anything here, right? So you don't have to worry about that. Let's take care of that now. This is a situation that you would come across very often. So what you have to do, so what's happening right now is you're seeing the plan from this specific level, and you haven't built anything on that level, right? So you're not going to see anything. Because I don't want a wall in my roof, right? So what I'm going to do is go to my properties tab, and under that you would have something called underlay. This is like a tracing paper. So I'm going to choose my base level to be level 1 and hit apply. It's going to show me what's below this level, this specific level, right? So what is happening is we're looking at the plan from somewhere here, looking down, and because we don't have any walls that's built on the level, you don't see anything. So what I did is I asked Revit to show me the things that's below this, which is level 1, right? So that's what I'm saying here. Under underlay, base level, I'm saying show me level 1, and it's going to show that level. You can't select the level because it's more like a like a tracing image at the back. So I'm going to use this level to build a roof for this now. I'm going to go to roof, and I'm going to choose roof by footprint. That's what we're going to look at for this workshop. So what this does is, and another thing is, if you don't know what a command does, you just click on, don't click on the specific command, just place your cursor on top of it, and Revit is going to show you by default what this does and gives a small description of how to use it. So I'm going to go ahead, click on roof by footprint. And if you see, it's very similar to the way we created a floor slab, right? So I'm going to go ahead, click on this rectangle, or say, I'm going to go ahead, click on the pick lines and select the edges here, all right? Now, once you select the edges, the difference from a roof that I see is this sort of a triangle. And that's where you determine what angle this has to be inclined in. So I'm going to click on this line. Once I click on that line, it's going to show me a specific degree. I'm going to go ahead, select 45 for this. I'm going to select this, and I like this to be 30. I like this to be 30 as well. Maybe this can be like 45 again. Okay. And then I hit OK. And then it's going to ask me, would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? Yes, I'm going to say yes. You'll see that in a minute. And if I go to my 3D, you've got that hip roof created. Let me do that again for you. I'm going to click on this roof in 3D, double click it, and that's the boundary we drew. We said keep this to be 30, the angle of this to be 30. We said keep this to be 45, 30, and 45. So it's actually calculated those angles and created this slope for us. So that's how you create a slope roof in Revit. Now I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go back to my roof level. I'm going to go to my floor, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle on top of this. And hit OK, like how we created a floor, right? Now that gives me a flat floor slab. In case you want to create a flat floor slab, that's how you do it. If you want to create a hip roof, you go to the roof and select the roof by footprint and set your angles in different levels. Yeah. Now I'm going to go to my roof again, go to my footprint, and create this. But this time I'm going to define the slope, right? So what I'm going to be doing is choosing this and say slope it in this way. Oh, sorry. Go to my floor and draw a boundary. But I'm going to say slope this roof really one-sided. I don't want to be sloping on all sides. So I'm going to click on this, click on the slope arrow icon, and hit this line. So I want to slope it from this side, right? So I'm going to say slope it along this. And what this would do is create a slope roof on that specific angle. And to control this angle, sorry about that. Meher, how do you control the angle? Yeah. I think you have the option now. Yeah. You're not audible, man. I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So essentially to do that, let's just go into, so we've got a flow here, isn't it? I'm going to delete that.
Yeah.
If you want to control the slope and see which sides get the slope, just go into your roof again, roof by footprint. You can also have like your eaves going out. So what I'll do is I'll select the rectangle, say I want my eaves to be 600 on all sides. I'll give it an offset of 600. And I'll draw this rectangle, and it's already given it an offset. What you can now see is that you've got these small triangles on all the sides. What this basically shows is that these sides have a slope. So like when you select it, it shows you the degree of slope. But say we only wanted to slope in 2 directions and not in 4 directions. So I'll select this one. And in the properties, you'll see there's something called define roof slope. So you just have to uncheck it. And you select the bottom one and uncheck this. So now we've got these triangles on only 2 sides. So it's only going to slope in these directions. You can then go ahead and change it to say 15 degrees or whatever you want. This side is 30, change this to 15. You can have different slopes as well. Like you can have 15 on one side, you can have 30 on one side. When you're done, just click on this. It says, would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? Yes. And now when we see it in 3D, you'll see it sloped in 2 directions. And originally our wall was only till this level over here. When it asks you, do you want to attach the walls to the roof? It basically takes the walls, which are away from that side of the roof, to go and change their basic boundary to attach with the roof. That can be done otherwise as well. If you say you didn't select that while making the roof, let me show you how you do that. Oh, 1 second. Yeah. So we've got this wall here, which is essentially what we drew. Now we wanted to go to the top. So when you select the wall, there's an option of attach top or base. Select that and click on the roof. It basically takes your wall to the roof. So that's how you can change the slope. You can even, when you select your roof, you can even have it just sloping in one direction. So select this, uncheck this again, and then you'll see the triangle is only on one side. If you go ahead, click yes, it's only sloping in one direction. So you can use that as you'd like. Nitesh, you can take over now. I'm gonna
Thanks for that.
No worries.
So we've learned quite a bit now. We've learned how to open a project. We've learned the interface, navigating, setting up levels. We forgot grids. I'm going to quickly show you how to do grids. So go to your floor plans. And inside floor plans, I'm going to change my detail level to fine. And under datum, you have this option called grids. So click on that. It's going to create this create ribbon like any other. I'm just going to go to my center of the wall and draw the line, and that will automatically create a grid for us. That's how you start establishing grids in your project. And you can just double click this to rename it. One. And yeah, so that's how you create grids in the project. If I want to create another one, I'm going to click this and then hit CS, create similar, and that's going to create another. Open the command to create the grid, and then just draw that line, and that sort of creates that specific grid. That's That's it, creating grids. We've created different types of walls. We're going to be creating a curtain wall. It's essentially a glazing wall in the model that we're going to build now. I'm going to show you how that works. We've created a roof. We've created like openings in the roof, openings in the wall. We've also learned how to create the hip roof. So that's it. That's sort of the first session that we want to give out to you. We can have like a quick 5-minute Q&A now, or we can just go ahead and starting to build the model that we are attempting this workshop. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask quickly and whatever we've learned? No questions?
Seems like none. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Sounds good.
You can always put your questions in the chat. If there was something you'd like him to repeat, or if there was something that you couldn't follow, just put it in the chat.
Good. So what we have learned now, we're going to build this, right? So let's start new again. I'm going to close all of this. Now we have like a target to achieve, right? Like we want to achieve that specific model that we don't go to randomly build something. So I'm going to go create a new file, choose my architectural template, create a new project. I hit on OK, and then this is the new project file that we've got. As I mentioned before, I'm going to set my units first, right? I'm going to set it to millimeters. 1 decimal, 0 decimal is fine. Okay. And now, if you go back to my exercise folder, inside the exercise folder, I've actually given a CAD drawing, a section. So this is like a very schematic section of that project. So I'm going to start establishing my levels in Revit now. So I'm going to understand how this project is broken down into different levels. So I have my ground plane, just like the plinth level, that is going to be 0, 0. And I want a ground floor that is, say, 1,002. Sorry? Okay. My ground floor is at 1.2 meters from the 0. And I have a first floor to floor height of 3,000 and 3,600. So that's how I want to build my levels to this project. So I'm going to go ahead and create this in Revit now. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to my elevation. And by default, Revit is giving me a ground floor that's 0 and level 1 that's at 4,000. So I'm going to go ahead, change this to plinth. I'm going to call it 0, 0 plinth. You can choose to sort of build this model along with me, and you can also sort of observe and then work it on later. It's up to you. If you feel like you're lagging behind, that's why we have that Q&A interactive session where you can actually ask questions if you get stuck in a specific point. So do not feel the pressure of following along with me, but you can always choose to do that. And then my second level is going to be ground floor. Would I like to rename? Yes, I do like to rename, and I want this to be 1,200. All right. Now let me go back to my section, and so I've created this now. Created this. I want to start creating these two, and my first floor is at a 3 meter height from the ground floor. So I'm going to hit on this level, type CS, and that's going to open my level command. I'm going to click on the pick lines and say 3,000. And I'm going to just hover my mouse on this level. It's got that level set for me. 4,200 is from the 0, right? So distance between them is 3,000. And I'm going to create another level of another 3,000, which is this false ceiling level, and then the roof of 600, right? The roof level is at 600 above the false ceiling. I'm going to call this FCL 03. Let's go. I'm going to call this 01. Sorry, 02. Hello?
Just what
Yep.
one sec. Um, just want to point out here the reason he's doing 00, 01, 02, 03 in naming is because it helps sort of sort your project in your project browser. So then it won't be sorted. Basically, it's sorted based on alphabetical order. So when you put 00, 01, 02, 03, it will put them in the order that they are in. If that wasn't happening, then ground floor would be somewhere else, plinth would be somewhere else, and then it won't be in the same order.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I'm going to create my last level, which is 600 above the fall ceiling level. 600. So now there's a clash, right? So what I'm going to do is select this, and there's this cross button. And once I click on that, the line breaks. That's the break button. And then you can drag these lines and make it clear so that nothing clashes and it's easy to read. I'm going to call this my roof. That's going to be my last level. I would like to rename, yes. Now we've got the levels set, right? So I've created all these levels in Revit now. Now, like I mentioned, the next thing that I want to do is start building the walls and learn how to build the model. So I'm going to go to my, if you look at the image of the project, if you look at the image of the project, they have this 600 sort of detail happening around the wall and the roof, and they also have this pedestal that's sort of 600 mm equally 600 mm over the ground. So I'm going to go create that floor slab first, and then start building my model from the bottom to the top. That's how I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do is go to my plinth. And so before that, let me teach you how to import the CAD file, because I've done the CAD file already. I don't have to start building it from the Revit itself. So let's see how to import a CAD file into Revit. Go to insert command, and inside insert command, there's a thing called import CAD. So I'm going to go ahead, hit on import CAD, and I'm going to browse the file, which is inside exercise files, CAD, and ground floor plan. I want to bring in my ground floor plan first. So once you select the ground floor plan, you have a couple of things happening below. You need to, what you need to do is, we can leave the colors to be as it is. Essentially, the colors that you use in AutoCAD is going to show up as it is. The layers as it is, import units, it takes automatically because I've done the units in millimeters in AutoCAD before, so that is taken care of. And what is important is this one. Place at which level do you want to place it at? Do you want to place it at ground floor, or do you want to place it at plinth level? I want this to be on ground floor, so I choose ground floor. And positioning is auto origin. Because I've drawn this CAD drawing to origin in AutoCAD, it's going to place in exact same origin in Revit, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to select all this and hit open. And it's automatically going to insert the CAD file into my Revit file project now. So I can use this as a base to start building my model, right? So that's why I did the CAD drawing first. It's easier to start in CAD. But as you sort of pick up in Revit, you would start building your models in Revit. That's just for a practice beginning to begin modeling in Revit. So now that we've got this, immediately what I want to do is set my walls, create my walls, and to start creating my floors, right? So there's also this specific project. What I've done is we're going to be creating 3 different types of walls. I hope my computer doesn't crash because of that bug, but let's attempt to build these 3 types of walls. One would be the external wall, which has this wooden cladding. Show the image, which has this wooden cladding happening. That's going to be the external wall, which is this specific wall. And the 200 mm wall is going to be the internal walls. And the 300 mm wall is going to be the similar external wall, but without the cladding finish. So that's the 3 different types of walls you're going to attempt building. So before I start my project, I like to do that always. So the main thing is taken care of. So I go to my walls, I will go to architecture, go to walls, edit type. Okay, it's happening again. Yeah. I'm going to create my external cladding wall. I've created the name. Now I'm going to create the structure. I'm going to make the core to be 300. All right, let's look at it in the plan. Core to be 300, and I like the like a gap of 50, and I want to create another cladding on the outside to be another 50, right? So that's my external cladding wall. And I don't want this to be masonry. I'm going to go to my material, and I'm going to just type wood, this, and I'm going to randomly choose a finish here. And inside, I'm going to choose, say, this particular wood, and I want the cut pattern to be, let's see if they've got wood. Yeah, they do have wood. So I want the cut pattern to be wood for that specific finish. And inside my masonry, I have a defined cut pattern of the brickwork inside my masonry. So that's fine. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. And I draw the wall and I choose my detail level to be fine, I've got my external wall set. So I need to create 2 more walls now. I'm going to quickly do that. Go to walls again, draw a wall, click on that, go to edit type. For some reason, I can't solve this bug, so sorry about that. I'm going to quickly do the same thing again. Yeah, the important thing is to save. I forgot how to save project. Let's start saving the project for no one so it doesn't crash. I'm going to name this plinth. And 01. It's to be 1200. One, two, and 600. Be my first floor. This is going to be my second floor. So I'm going to save the project just in case it doesn't crash again. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to go to my ground floor, insert my CAD plan again. import CAD, go to CAD, open the ground floor, set it to origin ground floor, and then it's going to pin my CAD, pin my flow plan, and because my file is kind of crashing and something weird is happening, I'm going to copy the existing wall that I created. But you've learned how to create the wall and paste it in my new file. So I'm just trying to save the time to create that new wall. Okay. So let's start building the walls now. So the way I would do is draw, you can either choose to draw it over the line, or you can choose to pick lines, go to architecture, go to wall, and go to pick lines, and then you can pick the lines that where you want to build the wall, right? So right now the wall is not aligning to the CAD drawing, so I'm going to align. I'm going to use the align command to align the walls to the plan. So hit AL. I'm going to select this line and click on this line. So that's going to make the wall go to that specific point. Now I'm going to align this wall to the specific line. So AL, I want to choose this line and make this wall go to that line. So it's aligned there, and I'm going to select this line and make this wall go there. So line. So let's go check in 3D what's happening. The walls are all of different heights. We don't want to see this. So I'm going to go to my elevation and control the heights of these walls, right? So I'm going to select these walls, and I'm going to say make top constraint go until the first floor, and then it's already changed here. So it's going until the first floor. Okay. I'm going to select delete the higher section line for just time being, and I'm going to go ahead create the smaller walls now. Now the way I would do that is go to walls, go to wall properties, and I'm going to choose say this 110 mm brick wall, and I'm going to draw the walls, the wall lines again. I'm just going to draw a wall here, wall here, another wall here. I'm going to choose the do the align command to align the walls to that specific line. Align this line to this wall and align this line to this wall. So now it's not that you have to draw the line with the line option always. You can also draw random walls at different spaces and use these modify commands to make sure it is aligning to your CAD plan. So I'm going to do this option called trim extend, right? This one, trim extend. So what this does is I'm going to hit this wall. I'm going to say extend all these walls until that line. And when I click on this wall, it automatically goes and attaches to that exterior wall. Now, the way I would solve this is trim it. I want to retain this part of the wall, and I want to retain this part of the wall, and the other thing goes off. Similarly, I want to retain this part of the wall, and I want to retain this part of the wall. So the other thing goes off. And let's finish these walls here. So I think you get the idea of how to, yeah?
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So there's also like, you know how when you're drawing a wall, at this point, it's only letting you draw from the center line of the wall. You can change. Can I get remote access?
I think if you do that, my system is going to stop.
Or it'll crash.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the bug I'm trying to solve. Yeah. I can show them what it is.
Yeah, you can show them creating the wall from the external face of it.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I want to do that, but yeah, I'm saving the file just in case. So I'm going to go to the wall. What Meher was mentioning is right now, if I click on the point, you see how the wall is starting in the center of the line. Now, if I create the wall and choose the option and the option location line to be finish face exterior and click again, you see it's no more in the center. It's actually the exterior face that's the starting point of the line. So that's different ways to draw the walls. The reason I didn't do that is if I do this, my system crashes. I don't know why, and it's happening only since yesterday. So that's the
Yeah,
reason.
no, that's fine. It's just like just if they know that
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
an
yeah,
option,
yeah,
and
yeah,
if
definitely.
you've already got lines and you know this is the exterior or this is the interior of your line, then it's just easy to quickly draw over that.
Yeah, exactly. It's very easy. Uh, I'm going to take the risk of using this. See, that's how it is. So I'm choosing finish face exterior now. And when I click on this, the line is no more in the wall is no more in the center of the line. It's already aligned to that specific line. So that's how that specific option comes in handy inside the wall. So you can remember that. I'm going to finish this part of the wall. And if you want to flip the direction of the wall, like I said, for doors and windows, hit the space bar and it would flip the wall in both directions. Now, this is not aligned, so I'm going to use the align command, AL, and choose the line and select the face of the wall that wants to align it. So that's done. Now we've sort of quickly created, built the walls now. Let's go to 3D. Okay, there's a problem. Not all the walls are of the same height, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my elevation where I can see all the walls, preferably north, and I'm going to select all these walls. And once I select in the property bar, it sort of this is the cumulative properties of the walls that get selected. And here I'm going to say make the walls to be first floor, the top constraint to be first floor, and everything goes back to first floor. Let's go to 3D, and like you see, everything is controlled to the first floor level now. Now we've quickly built the ground floor plan, and I'm going to save it because I don't want to rebuild it again from scratch. Now let's start building the windows, right? So what do? Go to Architecture tab, go to Windows. And for this project, to make it simple, we're going to be creating a window that's 3000 by 3000 in width and height. I'm going to make it easier, I'm going to choose it to be a fixed window, or let's do a sliding window here actually, or a sliding door. Let's go to door, and let's go to load family, because in my properties I do not have any other door other than the flush. So what I'm going to do is load the component from the Revit database. The way I do it is go to door and hit on load family, and inside load family I'm going to go to doors, and we have so many options here, but I'm going to go search for a sliding 2-panel. Yeah, so this works for me, a sliding 2-panel door. I'm going to create open, click open, and then it's already loaded in my properties bar and it's ready to go. And when I go to my wall, you already see a detailed sliding door that's created, but I'm not happy with the size. So what I'm going to do is go to edit type, rename it to be a 3000 sliding door. I've only renamed it now, but I'm going to go to my dimensions, go to my width and make it 3000, right? And now we've got a 3000 by the height to be 3000, right? 3000 by 3000 sliding door that's set. I'm going to go ahead and create another sliding door here. So what I do is select the window, select the door, hit CS, create similar, or you can go to door, architecture, door. But now this time I want to create this to be not a 3000, but let's do a 2000 one because that space is smaller and the width is 2000. I'm going to keep the height the same. Hit OK, 2000. So we've got two doors now. Let's go to 3D and have a look at it. That's the 3000 by 3000 window door, and that's the 2000 by 3000. So similarly, I'm going to go to Windows and create a window here, which is of 1000 by 3000, right? So I'm going to click on the window, go to edit type, duplicate it, call it window 1000, and rename it, change the width height to be 3000 and width to be 1000. Bam, we've got that window here. And I'm going to do another similar window here. And let's do another window here and another window here. Now let's go to our 3D view. That's set. So one weird thing that's happening here is, because I went to 3D, I saw this. If I was still in my 2D and working on it, I've never seen this. So if I select this window, it says a sill height of 300, which I do not want, right? So I'm going to select all these windows that's popping out of the first floor and give a sill height of 0. And that's gone. That's all now. So that's why you always switch between different views, so to see what's happening with your model and start correcting it then and there. So now that we've almost got our ground floor built, this part of the ground floor built, except for the front facade, which we will look at very soon. But what I want to do is start building this floor slab and to make sure it's kind of getting finished. So I'm going to go to my ground floor plan again and use these lines as a reference and create a floor slab there. I'm going to go to my floor. I'm going to pick these lines now. This boundary, this boundary, this boundary, and this boundary. Now, right now we are at the ground level plan, right? So the floor that we're going to create is going to be created at the ground level. I've made sure that everything is in one loop, so I've trimmed the edges, so it's a single loop line. I'm going to hit OK. Just go to 3D. Now we've got this floor slab that's created, but I want this thickness to be not 150. I want it to be 600, right? So I'm going to go to edit type, duplicate it to be, name it 600, and go to my structure and change the thickness to be 600. Hit OK. And now we've got a 600 mm slab. Let's go to elevation. I always like to sort of, once I create an element, I always like to see it in plan, section, elevation, and 3D. So make sure it's the same everywhere. I'm happy with this. There's elevation. So that's the front facade. We've got the windows and we've got the slab. So like I mentioned before, there's also a small detail of this pedestal that's happening below the ground level. So I'm going to go ahead and build that now. Let's see how to do that. For that, I'm going to go to my plinth level, right? Now, I can sort of guess from the image that it's got a similar offset from the edge of the surface. So what I'm going to be doing is create a floor slab, but I'm going to offset inside it by 600. So I've given an offset of minus 600, and then I'm going to draw this line. So this creates a floor slab that's got an offset from the edge of it. And I want this floor slab to be the 600 that we created and not the 150. So in the property panel, I change it to be 600 and I click OK. Let's see what happens. Go to 3D. Okay, that's something that we do not want to see. So I'm going to go to my north elevation again. And I've created a floor slab, but it's actually, the Revit has done its job right, but I've not given the right, I've not done it right, to be honest. So I'm creating the slab, but I want it to be below, exactly below that. So there are several ways to do this. What I would do is click on this, go to my property panel, and say height offset from level to be, I want it to be 600. So it exactly sits on top of it. So you can correct that. I would also try doing align command. Let's try that. So I've hit AL, and then I'm going to choose this line of the bottom of the slab to align with this. It's gone up. Another way to do it is, let's check this in 3D if it's gone right. Yeah, it's come right. Another easier way to do this would be click on the floor slab, go to your modify ribbon, and I'm going to use the move command and click on that and move it up. That also works. So there are many ways to do it. You would pick an easier way as you start building a model. So it's almost there. Ground floor is almost there. So what I want to do is create a 3D view now to see how it's actually coming out in 3D. So for that, I'm going to go back to my quick access toolbar, and inside this default 3D button, there's a drop-down menu. I'm going to click on that and go to camera and click on to camera. And if you go to your view, you'd see that small camera icon. I'm going to click and drag and choose my angle and leave it as it is. And this creates a 3D view. That's how you create a 3D view. Immediately you do that in your project browser under 3D views. This specific 3D view would be named as, it would pop up. I'm going to say it as exterior 1, right? So I don't want to see this as it is. So I'm going to go to my shading options and make it look like shaded view. That's how it looks like in a shaded view. And if I want to add some shadows, I would say shadows on. So shadows are on. And inside this panel, there's this option called graphic display option. This is pretty cool. So what this does is you can choose the different shadows that you want to add to this project. So I've given cast shadows, but I want to switch on ambient shadows. You will start seeing the walls getting shaded. Once you finish the model, you'll see that in detail. Okay, let's not get distracted by 3D view now. Let's go back to the floor plan. So we've done the ground floor kind of somewhat. I'm going to go to my first floor. I don't see anything because I've not built anything. So as I mentioned before, I would go to my underlay and just get a reference of what's happening below, which is the ground floor. So I'm going to choose my base level to be ground floor. And I see that like a tracing sheet of paper. I see the ground level in this first floor. Now what I'm going to do is repeat the same process what I did in the first floor. I'm going to save, go to my insert, import CAD. And inside the exercise files, we've also given you the first floor plan. So I'm going to click on the first floor plan, make sure it is auto origin to origin in terms of positioning. But at this time, I want to be placed at first floor and not ground floor. And I'm going to get open. And it's going to exactly come and place the plan in the same coordinates as the ground floor. So the similar process continues, right? Like we did in the first floor, I'm going to create the same wall, which is wall 300. For my external plan. So I've chosen wall exterior, and I'm going to pick this line, draw the external wall. And for this wall, I'm going to choose, what did we choose for the ground floor? Same one, okay. I'm going to choose that wall, draw that here, do the same process again. And then trim the edges. Now I want to extend this wall exactly to this point, right? So I can either do that by stretching this or aligning it like we've done it before. So I'm going to leave the internal walls as it is. I'm not going to build that because we might run out of time. So let's quickly add the windows. I have a window here, got a window here, I've got another sliding door here. Okay, window here, but this has to be 2000 and by 3000. Let's quickly change that to be a sliding. The windows, load family. Under windows, I want to choose a sliding window this time. So, okay. A sliding window. Another one here. Now let's go to 3D. Let's see what's happening. The wall seems okay. The exterior wall seems okay, but the windows are definitely not okay. So I'm going to quickly select all the windows and give a sill height of 0. It's important to note that the base level is first floor here. So if I give a sill level of 0, it's going to keep this as the constraint and build the window. and I don't want this window to be this high. I want to make it 3000, right? So I'm going to go to edit types, create a wall of SL 3000, and give a height of 3000. And I'm going to teach another command called match properties now. So the thing is, if you want to make this window look the same as that, you can type MA, which is match properties, and you get this cursor with the paint icon. I'm going to click on that and then click on the window that I want to change, and it changes to the exact same type as this is. So match properties is an important command also. It works with everything. It works with doors, it works with windows, it works with walls. You can simply match property a wall and change another type of the wall also. The next thing that I would do is create the first floor slab. So for that, let's go to first floor. And so the plan has a void here. So what I'm going to do is go to my floor, hit this icon, and I'm going to draw a rectangle exactly to this line. And I'm going to align this this edge to this edge of the wall. So I'm going to use the align command, hit the line and line. It's going to align. I'm going to hit OK. Do you like to walls to? Yes, I would like to go. Now we've got a floor slab, but it's 600 mm thick, and we don't want it to be 600 mm thick. So what I'm going to do is make this to be. Let's see if they've got a default 150. That sounds good. And once you do that, we've got that floor slab built. Here. Now you see a lot of overlap in the elevations now, right? So that's because I chose the exterior line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the interior face of the wall and not the exterior face of the wall. This is just to create the model, a neat model. Okay, boom. And now we've got the windows there, we've got the doors, we've got the floor slab also. The last thing that I want to do is build the roof of this. But before that, we have a curtain wall in the front. So let's see how to build a curtain wall. We've seen masonry walls until now. Let's see how to do a curtain wall. I'm going to go to my ground floor, go to my walls option, wall command, and inside my property, if you scroll down, you will see an option called curtain wall 6 mm thick glazing, basically a curtain wall. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. The ribbon opens to be similar to a normal wall, but when I actually draw a wall, you can see the thickness is different because it's a glass wall, a glazing wall, and even in 3D you would see it to be a glaze wall. So now what I'm intending to create is something similar to what these guys have, but I want to create like panels in between, like say 2-3 panels. Let's see how to do that. So once you've got a curtain wall, the next thing that you have to do is create a curtain grid. So for that, you go to under architecture tab, you have something called curtain grid. So once I click on that and try to hover my mouse on the wall, you start to see these dotted lines, right? So this is nothing but creating different grid lines on the wall. So I want to create, say, 2 of these and then 3 of these. And I want to space this, say, 1200 from here. I want this to be another 1200. And I want this to be, I want the last panel, I want to reserve the last panel to be a glass door. So I want to keep that to be 900 and just leave this to be remaining. So now we've created a curtain wall. We've created partitions in a curtain wall now. Now what you would want next is creating those mullions, right? So for that, under architecture tab, we have this option called mullions. The only way you can do a mullion is only when you create a grid, curtain grid, you can create a curtain mullion. So I'm going to click on curtain, the mullion, and I'm going to just select those grids that we created, and it's automatically going to create a mullion for us. You can also choose to do it on the horizontal side, on the edges, and on the bottom also if you want. Now, I want this height, this wall to be double story height. So I select the curtain wall and I say the top constraint to be to the fall ceiling level of the second floor, right? First floor, right? So it's gone exactly till that height, and even the mullions follow the curtain grids. I'm going to create another one here. Then now I would want to have like a horizontal member in between the floor slab. So I'm going to go to the curtain grid and I'm going to choose the horizontal face this time. Once you move your cursor on the horizontal side, you get that curtain grid, but I want to change the dimension to be 3000. And let's do a mullion there. Now I want this last panel, right? So the way so once you place your mouse, the whole wall selects. But if you specifically want to select a specific part, what I would do is place my mouse on top of the wall and hit tab. And that would actually give you a cycle of options that you can choose from that specific point where the cursor is. So in this case, I'm going to choose this specific glazing panel. I want to make this a door. So let's see how to do that. For that, we need a glass door, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to load family. Inside load family, I'm going to go to my curtain wall panels. And inside curtain walls panels is where you have the glass door that Autodesk has provided us. So I'm going to choose a simple glass frame door. Let's say a simple curtain wall glass door, right? I'm going to say open. And now we've loaded that family into Revit. And to make this door now, I'm going to select the specific panel and go to properties and search for the glass that we just loaded into the project, which was curtain wall SG. And that turns out, and that updates it to be a door in the 3D. Let's go check in the plan what's happening. Now we've got that curtain wall set, we've set our mullions, and we also have the door now. Now I want this door, the door is orienting to the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead and click my space bar, and that's going to give a cycle of options to rotate on different axes. So I'm happy with this position. I've created a door. So that's how you create a curtain wall. We learned how to do a normal wall, but we also now we know how to create a glazing wall, which works like a curtain wall panel, the glass door. Let's go to my 3D. Not bad. If can develop the model from the bottom until the first floor now. So I'm going to quickly go finish it with the roof slab. The roof slab is again a 600 mm thick slab. So what I'm going to do is go to my roof plan, and I don't see anything because there's nothing. So I immediately what I do is I go to my property panel. Under underlay, I want to choose, say, what is the need for below, just the first floor. And it would sort of show me the first floor like a glazing sheet that is placed on top of it, top of this. You know what, we've actually created floors going to the architecture and clicking on the floor a couple of times. I'm going to teach you another cool way to copy the floor and paste this floor on another level. So let's go to our 3D view. So exactly, I want this slab to be on top of this, right? So there's another way to do this. You just copy and paste. Just going to use copy paste, but we're going to use this. Click on this slab now. Under my under my architecture. So once you click on the slab, you have this modify ribbon that opens automatically. And under clipboard, you have this option called copy to clipboard. I'm going to hit that once. What this does is it has copied that, like in any software, it has copied that specific floor slab and it's on the clipboard now. And I want to paste it on, we know the level, right? We know the level is the roof level. So I want to paste it on the roof level. So the way you tell Revit to do this is under paste, you have this option, you have this drop down menu. So click on that. And you have several options here saying paste from clipboard, align to selected levels, align to the same place, and align to pick levels. So what I'm going to do is align to selected levels. Once I click that, it's going to give me an option. And it's asking me, where do you want to place this? Which level do you want to place this in? And I'm going to say, I want to paste this copy in the same place, but in the roof level. Click OK, and bam, you just copy pasted. You just saved a lot of time there from drawing those lines and clicking OK and blah blah blah. Now I hope that that was easy and clear for everyone. If not, I can run you through if you have not understood that specific way of creating that copying and pasting. So let's go back to the image. Now we've got that set and we've got that set. We have to build these two walls, right? So let's do that. I'm going to go to my ground floor for that, and my CAD plan reference shows that wall is here. So I'm going to create similar, and I'm going to draw the wall here. Align it to that line. I'm going to drag that, take it to here. And I'm going to create a similar wall here. Now, I don't want the finish to be this, but also let's save the file first because I'm working with walls. I want this to be just a normal 300 mm generic wall. So I've changed the type of the wall and I'm going to align the wall to that line. Now I want this wall to be same as this. So what I do is match properties, which is MA, and select this wall and select the wall you want to change, and it copies the properties of that specific wall. Now let's go back to our 3D again. So what's happening is the wall is constrained to level 1, I think. Let's click on this and choose it to be go up to FCL, and even this, right? So I'm going to select match properties and then select that wall, so it goes back there again. So yeah, so we've sort of built the shell, we've built the plan a little bit inside, we've sort of set the flow slabs, and we've almost achieved the massing that we intended to create, which is not bad. I'm going to change the view to hidden. There's what I'm going to go to my graphic display option, and in the background, I'm just going to say create a sky or a gradient and hit apply. That creates like a background to us. So I've managed to do the model somewhat. I don't want to see these lines, right? Those are the imported graphic CAD lines. I don't want to see them. So what do we do? How do we get rid of that? You can choose to delete it, but I do not want to delete it also. I might use it for future reference, just in case something is changing. So there are two ways to get rid of that. So one way is to click on that and right click. And when you right click, you get this drop down menu, and there's an option called hide in view. And under hide in view, there's an option called elements. And I click on that, and that specific CAD drawing is now hidden. And I'm going to do the same to this CAD file. I'm going to click on that, right click, hide in view, elements, and then it's gotten rid of. So we've hidden that. The way to bring back that is, so if you want to bring back a hidden element, that's when this tool comes in handy. So there's this a bulb kind of an icon that says reveal hidden elements. So when I hit on that, it's going to show me what all I've hidden. And it's essentially showing me that pink line. So if I click on that CAD line again, then right click, I go to unhide view, and then inside unhide view, I click on elements. It's going to bring back that CAD file into the project. So that's how you hide and unhide. So this option works to any element in Revit. So suppose I want to hide this wall. I click on the wall, right click, go to hide in view. If I choose element, this particular wall is going to get hidden. But if I choose a category, then every wall is going to get hidden. And I don't want to do that. You can apply this to a door, you can apply this to a window, you can apply this to a floor. It's up to you. You just have to know that there's an option when you right click, there's an option called hide in view. Next thing that I want to do is we've sort of covered a lot of aspects now, and we've learned using those how to actually build a real architectural model like this project. Let's quickly learn how to do the steps. Steps in Revit is, I still kind of struggle with steps even after working a lot of projects. I hope Meher also would accept with me. Let's see how to build the simple steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my ground floor plan for that. Looks good. in the CAD plan, that's where I want my steps to be. What I'm going to do is take a section. So the way you draw a section in Revit is, again, go to the quick access toolbar, and you would see the section symbol on top next to the 3D view. Click on that, and then you get the plus icon, and then click where you want to start the section, and then click the second point where you want to end the section. That would essentially cut the model through the section line. You can also choose to do this horizontally. It's a matter of clicking that and drawing that specific section line. Now that I've created a section, if you go to the project browser and look for sections, this is my section. You see that there are two sections created. So those are these two sections. I want to delete one of them. Saying view section 2 will be deleted. Yeah, go ahead, delete it. And it's already updated in the project browser. So any changes that we do reflects in the project browser. That's again very important to understand. Now I want to go to this section. The way you can do this is right click on this and say go to view. If not, you can just double click on this. Double click on the section from project browser. It's going to take you to that section. Now let's understand the steps that we intend to draw. We want to draw a step. We want to model a step that's from plinth level to the ground floor. That means 0 to 1200, and so 1.2 meters. So I'm going to go to my ground floor. Under architecture tab and under circulation, we have this option called stairs. So I'm going to click on stairs. Now the stair ribbon sort of pops up with different options. We are sort of familiar with what's happening with this right now. So it's all the align, copy, offset tools. But this is sort of new, right? We've not seen this before. This is specifically for staircase. So before doing that, I'm going to quickly have a look at my property bar. And under that, it says base level to be ground floor. I'm happy to build the steps from the ground floor. Top level says it's first floor, but we do not want it to be first floor, right? So sorry, the base is going to be plinth, so that's where the ground level is. I'm happy the top level is the ground floor. And the desired stair height, it automatically calculates from the model saying it's 1200 mm high. That's the level difference between the plinth and the ground floor. And it says if you choose to, and I want to say build a stair with 5 steps, 5 rises, and it automatically calculates for us saying if you build the step with 5 steps, 5 risers, the actual riser height is going to be 240, and you can choose your own thread depth. So in this case, I want to make my thread depth 450, and I don't want it to be 240; it's too high. Maybe make it 6 steps, and the riser height turns out to be 200, which is okay, I guess. Now let's actually, once we set this parameter, let's go back to your model and then click on this option, straight. There are different ways you can build the step. You can build a circular, you can build a semicircular, you can build with the string with the winders running around. But for this workshop, we're just going to do a simple straight staircase. So click on that, hit the run, click on that, and then just click and drag. Left click, and then once you start moving your mouse, it would automatically show the number of rises that's being built. Because we've chosen 6 rises, you're getting 6 rises that's created. I'm happy with this. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to hit OK here. Let's go to 3D and see what's happened. So Revit by default has given us railings, and I don't want the railings for this. I'm going to just click on that and delete the railings. I'm happy with the steps. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th one, which would be our floor slab, 6 risers set. Now, I don't want this to have these stringer beams that's running on the end. So what I'm going to do is, I don't like the type of the staircase, so I'm going to edit the type of the staircase, like we edited the walls, windows, and doors. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to edit. And the first thing, like we do for a wall, for the other things, is I'm going to rename it to be external steps. And let's see, and under run type, it says monolithic, and let's see what this does. Okay. Now I want to get rid of this stringer beam, right? So let's see how to do that. Now the landing type is the same. Let's not disturb that. Let's go to structure. Sorry. External steps. Landing. This is fine. Take this. Oh, I think I missed something here. Yeah, so let's change the slab to be precast. So that will give us a precast steps. What is happening before is the type of the family that we chose was a single stair. So what we want is a precast or a cast in place stair. So if once we change that, we get rid of the stringer beams. Now you see there's this offset, this base slab that's created, but the model does not have the base slab. It has this solid thing happening, solid detail step that's happening. So let's see how to fix that. So click on the steps again, go to edit type, and let's go and check the run type where it says a structural depth of 170. I'm going to change this to 1200 and hit OK. So what this has done is before the structural depth was 170, which is why we got that sort of a step or a waist slab detail of 170 mm thick. Now I've asked Revit to make that depth to be 1200, and it automatically is created a step that we intended to create like in the model. So let's go to 3D view again. Yeah, so that looks good. It's kind of close to what we've trying to achieve. I think we can stop that. We can stop at this point in building the model. I'm going to leave the rest to you to sort of explore in the next 45 minutes and sort of come up with some doubts. I'm very sure you're going to have a lot of questions. We're here to help you for that. I'm going to quickly show, because we've done like a floor plan section, I'm going to quickly show how all this can be sort of put into a sheet in Revit. Under project browser, if you see there's an option called sheet, right? So I'm going to click on that, right click there and create a new sheet. And it's going to give us this pop-up window. And I'm going to load, I don't want an A0, so I'm going to go load a sheet from the family. So let's go back to the folder, and inside the thing you have this folder called title blocks. I'm going to go there and I'm going to import A3 landscape, which is already set by Autodesk. And that's loaded into the project for us. Now I'm going to go ahead, click OK. So that's how you get a sheet. That's how you create a sheet. Now you can create as many as you want, and you can choose. I'm creating 2. You can create as many as you want. What I'm going to do is I want to put my plan that we created inside the sheet. So let's say how to do that. It's very simple. Just click on the ground floor plan from the project browser, drag and drop it into the sheet. That's it. You get the plan inside the sheet now. Now we see a lot of things. It's going beyond and all that. So let's see how to sort of crop this view into the sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and double click this like you do in AutoCAD inside a make view space. Now once you go inside that, under this ribbon, we've got this a crop symbol with a bulb icon. It shows show crop region. I'm going to turn that on. What this does is it shows the amount of space that's being displayed right now. I want to control the space to say this. So I'm going to drag these icons and pull it inside. Okay. So now I'm saying that this is how much I want to see. I do not want to see what's beyond this in this specific sheet because I've set an A3 sheet. And I'm going to uncheck this again. So we get rid of that line. Now when I double click outside, we've got that thing cropped. We've got that specific plan cropped into this sheet right now. I'm going to select this ground floor plan and I'm going to shorten this line. Now I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm not just seeing the walls. I'm also seeing the dimensions, the CAD plan. So how do we get rid of that? We saw that already. So right click, hide in view elements. That's one way to do it. There's another command called visibility graphics, or VG. That's the shortcut. It opens. So this is where you control what to see and what not to see and how to see it. For example, if I right now I'm in my model category. If I go to my inside the model category, when I scroll down, everything that we've modeled, right from a door or a wall, is all inside this. So I'm unchecking walls, for example. When I uncheck walls and hit apply, you no more and hit OK. You no more see the walls. I'm sorry. You no more see the walls. I'll do that again. I'm going to VG. I'm typing VG for visibility graphics. You can also find that under properties inside the property bar, which is VG, or type VG, which is easier. And suppose I do not want to see the windows that I've created in this specific plan. So what I'm going to do is uncheck. I'm going to check back my walls because I want to see the walls. And I'm going to uncheck my windows and I hit OK. You don't see the windows anymore. It's only the CAD plan that we see right now. I do not want to see my CAD plan. Like one way we saw that was right click, hide an element, but I don't want to do that. I'll go to my VG again, and I'll switch on my windows once again. I'm going to go to imported categories, and it's going to show under imported categories whatever we've imported into Revit. For example, we did import ground floor plan and we did import first floor plan. So I'm going to uncheck these two and hit OK. It automatically gets rid of the plan. If you want to bring it back, you can go back to VG, go to import categories and check on it and bring it back if you want. So VG is a very important command that you can sort of explore. You can also choose to, for example, if you want the walls to have a specific color and you do not want to go to the wall types and change every time, you can just choose to do that here. So under walls, for example, and patterns. So under patterns, I'm going to say override, click override, and then I'm going to say, under cut pattern, I'm going to say hit override, and I'm going to say, give me a solid color, give me a red solid color for all the walls that you see in this specific view, and hit apply, and then it's going to give that. Sorry, I gave lines, you have to give patterns. Give me a solid fill, which is red in color everywhere. And it's going to override everything that we've created so far, and with one specific value that you're giving inside inside the VG visual graphic command. So this is a very powerful tool to control everything and override everything, which is why it's called visuality graphic overrides. I'm going to quickly undo this. No override. No override. Okay. So that's VG that we saw. Now let's create another sheet where I want to drag and drop my section, right? So we've created a section. I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to drag the section and drop it inside my plan. And that's how you insert a section into a sheet. You can do this. You can also do multiple views in a sheet. Suppose I want to put my 3D view next to my section. I just bring in my 3D view and place it next to my section. That's how you sort of start composing sheets and set different views. And the important thing is you cannot bring two views into a sheet. So for example, we've already placed ground floor in one sheet. So if I attempt to bring the ground floor plan again into another sheet, it's going to say this view is already placed on a sheet. So you're trying to make a copy, which is not possible. So that is something Revit does not allow you to do. If you want to make a copy of it, you can do that. You can click on the ground floor plan, right click, and you can go to duplicate view and duplicate. And it's going to give you a copy, which you can use it for other purposes in Revit. That's one thing. And let's also see how to add text and so on. I'll quickly change my walls.
you're changing the lines. You have to do the.
Yeah, I'm just clearing all the overrides, so it's easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's see
you
how to
can
add.
also. Sorry,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
also show like bringing some furniture.
Oh yeah. That we can. Cool. So let's go to insert, load family. We can try to put some furniture which we have pre-installed inside Revit. So I'm going to go to furniture. I'm going to go to beds. I'm just going to choose a random double bed, which is already now we've selected that. It's inserted into the project. I'm going to go to insert. Sorry, components and place a component, and that's going to show what we've imported right now. We just imported this bed and click on that and hit the spacebar button to sort of change its orientation however you want, and click on it and you get the furniture. Let's add another furniture. Let's go insert, let's load family from, say, a chair this time. Let's go to seating, let's get an armchair. I want to get this and hit open. It's loaded into the project. Go to architecture, under components, place component, and you would see the chair loaded into the property bar. And you can choose to have, start setting up your furnitures. Yeah. That's how you
Maybe
import
you can do
furnitures.
the WC and stuff because that's in a different thing. You can just show
Okay.
where it's at.
Okay. Okay, let's get some toilet bathroom components. And for that, I'm going to go to plumbing, architecture, inside fixtures. You would see bathtubs, sinks, urinals. I'm going to bring in a bathtub. It's loaded. And go to architecture, go to components, place components, and the bathtub you just loaded shows up. And then it's ideally not, don't have enough space, but still gonna go keep on. Extend the walls a bit. Now, there's one feature. Suppose I want to align this bathtub to the center of the window, right? So how do I do that? You don't have to move it. You don't have to draw reference lines around that. So I'm just going to hit the command AN. I'm going to place my cursor on the window, and it automatically picks you the center of the window. And I click that, and then I go to my the bathtub, and when I place my mouse on top of the bathtub, it automatically picks the center of the bathtub. And when I click that, it automatically aligns to the center of the window. So Revit sort of helps you save time in doing all this aligning and moving sort of works. Open one of the views, and under annotate tab, you have a series of options. Like this is to take care of all the dimensions. If I want to do a linear dimension, right? So I'm going to choose linear, and I'm going to take my mouse. One second, go to plan. Choose linear and choose the wall type. Oh, it's not. Choose the wall type. Choose the wall, and I'm going to bring my mouse and hit tab, so it gives me a cycle of options to select from that specific point. That's how you create a linear dimension. And if you want to, similar to CAD, it's very similar to CAD. Angular dimensions, you get the diameters, radius, all that. That dimensioning part happens in the dimensioning panel. And if you want to add text, on the text, we have this text option. So click on text and create a text box for yourself, and then say, start typing your dining, and hit enter. You get that text. If you want to change the dimensions of the text or the font of the text, very similar to all the other things, look at the property tab, go to edit type. Before changing any factors, do a duplicate saying, I want to create an Arial 5 mm. and under the text and under text size, I'm going to change this to be, say, 20. And then you drop down if the one you created shows up, and then the text, sorry, what confusion, 20 and then. So that's how you change the height of the text, the values of the text, and so on.
You just did, yeah, tab as text size.
Yeah. This is too much. Let's go back to 5, I think. Yeah, so that's how you add text, add dimensions to your project. Yeah. So the way I would do that is insert an image. I do not have an image. Let's say, okay, let's take this image. You choose the image that you want to insert, and you hit, you place it wherever you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to uncrop this view. So that's the image that I want to raster, right? That's the image I want to raster. I technically want to take these outlines from the specific image. So what I would do is go to annotate, this thing called detail lines. You can click on detail lines and start drawing the line. Start drawing the lines. Once you get these lines, you can use these as reference lines to make it a slab or to make it any surface that you want. And you also have this concept of model lines in Revit, which is this one. This acts same as detail lines, but what happens is if I draw a model line, I'll show you the difference. If I go to my 3D view, the line shows in your 3D view. So you can use this as a reference and suppose say make this a wall, a reference point for anything that you want. But if I do a detail line at the same place, I go to annotate, I draw a detail line, I do a detail line next to the smaller line, go to my 3D, the detail line doesn't show up. So if you want to raster something, if you want to get the outline of something from an image, you can go ahead, use the model line that would show up in 3D and use that as a reference to build your model. So now that I have a line, say, I want to make this a slab, I go to architecture, I go to flow, and I go to pick lines, and I pick these lines. And hit OK, and then it becomes a slab for me. And I can, you can control this from, say, you can choose the level to be ground floor, you can choose this to be first floor, whatever you want. So that's how you make a line into a 3D object.
Sure, thanks. When you're drawing these lines, today we've covered the straight lines and the rectangles, but there are other options in there as well. So you can do splines, you can do curves, you can do anything essentially.
Yeah, so we just covered this. If you go on selecting a spline, you can draw a spline and then make that into a wall also. I would go to walls, click this line. The wall doesn't work in the spline. So if it's an arc, then the wall is going to pick an arc and make that arc into a wall. Let's do that.
I think if you do a thinner wall, it may pick the spline. It depends on like what your wall is made of, and if it can do that in reality, then it'll do it. But if it can't, then it won't make it in 3D as well.
There's a wall like that. So cool. Let's do curtain wall again. So the way to create a curtain wall is it's three-folded steps. So I click on wall, go to my properties, and select under curtain wall. I select the curtain wall option, and like any other wall, I'm going to draw a line, say 10 meters. I'm going to go to my 3D to have a look at what's happened. It's created a simple glass line. Right, it's created a simple glass line. Now, what I want to actually do with this is create panels, like create a grid system. So to do that, add millions to this curtain wall. To do that, what you do is the next step, once you create a curtain wall, go to under architecture tab, go to curtain grid and create a grid system. So I'm going to be creating a grid system. I just picked up that line and I'm trying to move my mouse over the curtain wall. It automatically snaps and gives me those distances and grids. And I click that. Now I'm going to space it accordingly, however you want. I want this grid to be, say, 2000. I want the next one to be 3000. There's also another thing. You don't have to type 3000 mm all the time. I can also say 3.5 meter, and it automatically pick it to be 3500 mm. So that's another way to work on dimensioning in Revit. And I want this to be, say, 2 meters, and this to be whatever it is. So now we've created a curtain wall. We've created a curtain grid on that wall. Now all you have to make these grids into a million. So I'm going to go ahead, select the million, and if I choose that specific grid that I created, it automatically picks it up, and when you click on it, it creates a million for itself. So that's how you create the millions on the curtain wall. Now once you divide a curtain wall, right, it's no more one single wall. You can specifically select one panel also. So the way you do it is place your mouse on top of the wall and hit the tab, and it will give you a cycle of options to select. Now when I do this, the lower face is selected. Now I'm clicking on tab again. It selects that specific panel. Now you can choose to do a lot of different things with this specific panel, right? Now I want to make this a door. So what I'm going to do, a glass door, for example, instance, I'm going to select that wall, select that specific chunk, go to my properties tab, and we've actually preloaded this curtain glass wall before. So I'm going to select that, and that changes into a glass door. One mistake is you essentially don't have this frame happening on a glass door, but just to explain how this works. Now let's actually go and import something else from the curtain wall family. Let's go to insert, load family, and I'm going to go to my curtain wall panels, and there's also this double door. There's like a wall storefront. There's so many things that's there. Let's open this one with a push frame. It's imported into our project. Now that's imported inside our project. Now I want to make this centerpiece that specific door. Right? I'm running my tab command. Once I place my cursor on the curtain wall, it selects that specific panel for me. And I go to my properties, and the one we just loaded shows up in the properties bar. And once I choose the family, it turns out to be that door. So that's how you create like a curtain wall system on a facade. And if I change the height of this, the whole thing changes. I want this to go until, say, FCL, the whole thing changes. And if you want to add another million, that's another million, say at say 600 from that level. I'm going to make this 600 mm, and then it creates that thing to be 600. Now the thing is, because you split it, it also created another door here, which is wrong, right? So I'm going to click on that and make this into a glass panel as it is, solid glass panel. Change to a solid glass panel. Yeah, so that's how you create a curtain wall. Is that clear?
And how at,
yeah.
And how at the bottom there's still a mullion under the door. You can individually select that as well and then remove that from under the door, because you won't have mullion under the door.
Yeah, because this is Just click on that
So
and
you tap.
delete it. Tab, click on that and delete. It goes off. I hope that's clear than before. Now, once you start practicing, you definitely get a hang of it. Give it a shot once or twice. Using the exercise files we've given you, just try to redo the whole model again. Trying to follow similar process, like how we establish levels, set the units, built it from like the ground plane to the top. Once you do one model, you'll be confident on where what is, and you can sort of improvise. You pick up different more techniques to build the same model. There's not one specific way to build a model. This is just how I do it. So it's very similar to how we did the external staircase. I'm going to my plan, and just for reference, I want to bring back my CAD drawing that I hid, right? So let me click on this button and then select my CAD drawing, right click, unhide category, and click on that again. So that's where the staircase is. So what I'm going to do is go to architecture, go to my stairs and the circulation panel, click on the stairs. Now, the first thing that I will always do is set my base level and top level straight. So my base level is ground floor, yeah, and my top level is the first floor. So that's where I want my staircase to go from ground floor to first floor. Once I do that, Revit automatically sort of says if you want to, the design number of rises is 16, I think I'm going to go with 10. And if I give 10, the riser height is 300. So this is not, it's not practical, but because we have a very less distance here, let's do it. This works better with 10. And I'm going to choose my type of staircase to be a monolith stair, which is like a concrete and cast in situ stair. Now, with that said, let's say 10. Let's say 10 steps, 280 thread depth. I'm happy with 280. And I'm going to start creating the stair now. So the way I do it is I click and I move my mouse, and that's the 10. It automatically says 3 rises created, 4 rises created, and I take it to the maximum. It says 10 rises created and 0 remaining. So I'm just going to click there. And now my staircase is very oddly positioned. It's not in the right place where I want, right? So let's not worry. Click on the steps and you get these 4 arrows to control. So I'm going to click that and drag it to the wall here. I'm going to click this and drag it to the wall here. And hit OK. And it automatically creates 2 railings, which is by default. I'm just going to go ahead and select that and delete it. Now, there's a very cool feature in Revit. If I want to see this specific staircase, what you generally do is like draw a section line and look at it in a sectional perspective. But there's an option called section box in Revit. What it does is, if I want to see this in 3D, I select the staircase, and under the Modify tab, I have under the View panel a section box command. And it's also shortcut is BX. If you click on that, Revit automatically cuts the rest of the things and just shows you that specific 3D object that you're trying to see. So this is a cool feature. And you can also control the extent that you want to see. Like, I want to see this. I want to slightly cut below the steps and see how the staircase is going. So that's how you see. So if you want to cut something and create like an isometric or a 3D view, you can click on that specific 3D element and go create a section box. Now, just to uncheck that, go back to the floor plan and create a section here. I'm going to go to this section, and you see that the floor slab, the step is created, but the floor slab is say 150. I want to make this a little thicker. I want to make it 300. So we've got a base slab staircase that's going from ground floor to the first floor, but it's not, the slab is still there, and we have to create a void because there's no slab above the staircase, right? So what I'm going to do is go to the first floor. I'm going to go to the first floor. Just to understand what's happening, I'm going to split the tab like we did initially. Now we've got a section, we've got the section of that here. Now we actually have this floor slab, right? So what I'm going to do is create an opening here above the floor slab. So I'm going to click on that slab, select the slab in section, go to edit boundary, and I'm going to go floor plan, open. And here I'm going to draw a void, which means I'm going to draw a closed boundary inside another boundary. Now, because I drew a line over a line, it's saying highlighted lines overlap. So I'm going to select that line, delete that. Now, if I click OK, it's still not going to let me finish the slab because it has to be a closed loop, and we have the intersection that's happening right here, right? So I've got to edit that. So what I'm going to do is this option called split element. The shortcut is SL. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to split this line into two. I split it into two. Now the one single line is two split lines now. I'm going to trim these two lines, this and that. And I'm going to trim this and that. Now we've got one closed loop, which is fine. Now immediately when I give OK, and would you like to, you can always choose yes. And you see there's a void that's created above the step, exactly above the step. Now we need a landing here. So I made a mistake of cutting the slab there, but I actually need to cut it here. Oh, sorry. So to better understand the section, what I'm going to do is edit the properties of this. In the thickness, in the material, I'm going to go give a cut pattern. Inside this material, I'm going to go give a cut pattern of concrete hatch. Now, if you see, the slab is cut between this point and that point, and the hatch sort of shows us that. We have a void exactly above the steps. And that's how you create a step from like one level to another level. It's essentially the same to what we did for the external steps over here. Exactly what we did this, but it's just except for these two levels, you've chosen the ground and the first. So playing with the levels, that's it. And you can sort of, if you want to get families, like say different doors, different objects, there are so many websites that you can refer to. My go-to website is BIM Object.
Yeah, it's really, that's like the one.
Yeah, that's a good one to go and sort of download a lot of stuff.
Even things like sheets, like the ones we loaded right now, were the Autodesk ones. You can always load different kinds of sheets, and everything's customizable. So
yeah, you can do that also. You have a lot of products here. You can download the families and load it like how we loaded any doors or windows or other components. There's also another one called Revit City.
yeah,